For Jews, the Nazi swastika is inextricably linked with the Nazi plan to rid the world of Jews. During Hitler's reign, the symbol of the swastika was really ubiquitous, and it was under the symbol of the swastika that roughly 6 million Jews were murdered by Hitler. So for Jews, the symbol is synonymous with violence and also with one of the darkest periods in human history. Unfortunately, the anti-Semitic use of the swastika did not stop with Hitler. In fact, for the last 6 decades, white supremacist groups have used the symbol to intimidate, to vandalize. We see it used when gravestones, when synagogues, and when other Jewish institutions are vandalized. And now even some anti-Israel activists are using it to demonize Israel through a really preposterous claim that Israel is like Nazi Germany. So for Jews, when we see the symbol, it evokes fear, it evokes tremendous pain, and it evokes really an uneasiness.
It is understandable. Symbols by definition have power. And throughout the history, people have misused the symbols to intimidate, to cause fear. And probably there is no symbol that has been misused and abused like swastika, causing genocide. But at the same time, we need to look at in terms of what the real meaning of swastika was long time before Hitler started using it or abusing it. It is also a symbol, the swastika, that has been used in Indus Valley civilization, in Troy, among Native Americans, here. And so to go back and look at that, the swastika word is a Sanskrit word. It actually means good luck and well-being. Su means good, Asti means ease. So it is such a good word that has been abused, but has been used for thousands of years by several religions and half the world's population, particularly in the East, by Hindus, Buddhists, Jains, and Zoroastrians. And it is an extremely sacred and holy word that has been used in the temples, in homes, in business, in schools, in playgrounds. Anywhere you can see, it is used ubiquitously, before and even now. And it is very important now we talk about this, the meaning of the swastika, in this time of globalization, where people from many of the Western countries will be traveling to the Eastern countries, in India and other countries in the East, as well as the globalization has brought a lot of the people from the various countries practicing different faiths to the United States, a great pluralistic country. And this could very easily, if not properly brought out and discussed, can cause a lot of consternation and confusion and problems. And so this is a very important discussion that we are having.
I think there has really been also an evolution in the understanding between the Jewish community and the Hindu community, that we do need to understand the symbol. And for Jews, we feel it's very important that it be understood why we react the way we react when we see it. And also, of course, for Hindus, Buddhists, Jains, and Zoroastrians, it's critically important that everyone else understand how important the symbol is to the practice of their faiths. In recognition of that, there was a really groundbreaking leadership summit, a Hindu-Jewish leadership summit, the first of which was held in 2007 in Delhi in India, that brought together leading spiritual leaders from both the Hindu and Jewish faiths. And they met again the following year in 2008 in Jerusalem. And from that second meeting came a declaration. They addressed many issues, but one of the issues they addressed was the swastika. And the declaration from 2008 reads, "Swastika is an ancient and greatly auspicious symbol of the Hindu tradition. It is inscribed on Hindu temples and ritual altars, entrances, and even account books. A distorted version of this sacred symbol was misappropriated by the Third Reich in Germany and abused as an emblem under which heinous crimes were perpetrated against humanity, particularly the Jewish people. The participants recognized that this symbol is and has been sacred to Hindus for millennia, long before its misappropriation. At the local level, inspired by the Hindu-Jewish Leadership Summit, the American Jewish Committee and the Interfaith Conference of Metropolitan Washington have created a document called Understanding the Swastika, the Use and Abuse of a Sacred Symbol, which does exactly what we're doing today, which is to tell both the Jewish perspective and also explain the meaning of the swastika and show how it is used in everyday life for practitioners of Eastern religions.
It may be important so the audience would understand in terms of what the swastika represents. In Hinduism, one arm of the four arms of the swastika represents one of the goals of life. One is artha, means material wealth that one can seek. And then the second arm represents kama, or the pleasures of life that one can seek and the desires, as long as it is done with the third arm representing dharma, that which sustains or upholds the individuals, the communities, the nations, the world, universe, and the cosmos. And if the artha, seeking the wealth, and the kama, the seeking the desires, is done according to dharma, with the rules and regulations and the goodness, and in terms of how you do that, is acceptable. But the ultimate goal of life is represented by the fourth arm of the swastika, that is moksha, or the liberation. Liberation from the cycle of birth and death that is represented in Hinduism as a major core concept. In Buddhism, one arm represents of the Four Noble Truths articulated by Buddha, the suffering of humans. And the second arm represents the cause of that suffering, which are desires. And then the third arm represents that the suffering can cease. And the fourth arm, if the following the eightfold path articulated by Buddha, the suffering will cease. So there are critical components of each religion's philosophy represented. If you go to Jainism, for example, it's this whole swastika represents the seventh saint in their tradition, as well as in terms of every aspect of life is imbued with the symbol swastika. Again, in religious, personal life, and business life as well. And within Zoroastrians, use this in all their special occasions, weddings, and representing again goodness and well wishes of this. So it's a critical component. And I'm also struck by the symbolism of the statement that you talked about from Israel that came, that it was a critical part, that when we are talking about swastika, that it must come from a place where they can speak about the horror and the auspiciousness of this symbol. So let's open it up for questions.